Welcome to EV Marketplace on a Wednesday night, and if it's 6:30 on a Wednesday night, it must be EV night. And great to have you with us if you're watching YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and if you're watching and catch up, even better. Great to have you with us. But if we'd said to you 3 months ago when we started this show, what's played out in the last couple of weeks in the EV world, well, I would never imagine that it was going to be so exciting. Such a roller coaster, such a lot of news, such a lot happening. I'm just amazed, and well, we thought we may not have enough to bring to you, but well, there's no doubt we've got plenty of news. Starting tonight with the new car sales figures for Australia. Of course, they're out, and we're going to touch on those because congratulations, it's been an absolute brilliant week. First, almost 15% sales. Probably some were expecting a little bit higher, and we'll touch on those and what's playing out there. And why do we care as a used EV market? Well, we're here to bring you your dose of the used EV deals, data and discovery. But of course, the new market, the new cars just feed straight into the used market. So we're just loving that there's so many more used EV buyers, so many more people out there going to be driving an EV and just experiencing what we can experience as well. So love the way things are going at the moment. But we'll touch on some used EV news as well, because some exciting things and interesting things happening in that space as well. Of course, all this is brought to you by our very own marketplace, AmazingEV, our very own used EV marketplace. And look, it's free to list. It's normally $29.95 if you want to list. Oh, there's a coupon in the description just down below. I'll put that in there later. Use AmazingEV on checkout, and you can list for free. Because at the moment, we literally don't have enough listings. The cars are selling so quickly, and things are happening so fast. Well, we don't know what's going on at the moment. The cars are just flying out the door. Such as the demand been for new and used EVs. So we'll touch on a bit of news there as well. But of course, after the break, we've got a very good friend of mine, Dave Power. He's a double EV owner, 2 or 3 years like myself, has been living the dream. He's been driving for work. He's been driving for family, recreation. He's taken his EVs everywhere. He's not letting his weekend be ruined, or his holidays for that matter, be ruined by EVs. He's just embracing it and loving it. And Dave joins us after the break. He's on a secret location. We managed to catch him on an Easter holiday. So he's joining us because we were chatting and we thought, hey, perhaps he's got some tips that he can pass on to any new owners. Anyone new out there who's joining us or joining the EV club for the first time, they might want to know how they can charge. They might want to know how far they can go, how far they can drive, what exotic places, and what sort of life you can enjoy with an EV on the road, out and about. Because once again, for us, it's all about the pure enjoyment of owning an EV and driving an EV. That's what we're here for, after all. And tonight, thanks guys for joining us. Thanks Joe. Thanks Stan. Stan, let us know when you're off to China. It looks like everybody else is off to China in the next month or so. Tom's going. Riz is going. I think. Everybody's going. Stan's going to China. Everyone's going. Of course, the motor show is coming up in a month or so. I don't know the exact dates, but we'll be tracking that as well and hoping to get something back. And Stan, if you want to come back and have a chat with us after you've been to China, I'd love to hear what you've seen, what your experiences are, because we haven't been. This is amazing, and I love to hear what's going on. So it's showtime in China coming up in the next few weeks. I can't wait to hear and see what's going on there as well. But in the meantime, whether you missed this or not, there was a pretty significant awards ceremony about a week ago in, of all places, the New York Motor Show. And that was the World Car Awards. And hey, look, we just want to pay tribute for a minute to those awards. I don't know how they put these together. There's Car of the Year awards for every country. There's Car of the Year awards. I don't know why we're having World Car of the Year as late as April. I mean, it's a bit like daylight saving, which is just finished. Maybe it should have been a month or so ago, but hey, here we are. So, but fascinating thing happened with the World Car Awards. There was almost a clean sweep of EVs. Have a look for yourself.
It is time to find out which cars are winning at the 2026 World Car Awards.
The winner of the World Car Design of the Year 2026 award is the Mazda 6e EZ6.
That's surprising. That That's very interesting. That one. Yeah. I have some comments. Put them in the messages below. That was an interesting one for me, for sure.
The 2026 World Urban Car is Firefly.
One of our favourites. We haven't seen it yet. Joe's seen it. We love this one. Can't wait till this one comes in as well. Well, urban car. This thing is got that. There's a few on the market here already. Easy full. Pete's. Love that. Can't wait to see that one.
The 2026 World Electric Vehicle is, just a moment,
I might get a job on the panel here.
the BMW iX3.
So that was the electric car of the year. Well, electric car. That wasn't the. And this is not just EVs. This is all cars. This is not just EV awards. It's everything.
The 2026 World Performance Car is the Hyundai Ioniq 6N.
This is World Performance Car of the year. 60 being phased out. Not that popular here, but we haven't even seen one upgraded 6N.
The 2026 World Luxury Car is Lucid Gravity.
Yeah, that's a surprise too, that one. Again, Lucid just not doing the numbers and like what issues perhaps, but well, some impressive judges there still. That's very interesting.
The 2026 World Car of the Year is the BMW iX3.
Oh, look, well deserved, there's no doubt about that. That looks magnificent. We've seen it premiere here in Australia already. Everybody's looking forward to that one.
Huge congratulations to all the winners.
Can't wait to see that one here because that is going to do really well. I feel with luxury car tax coming down, that might start at 100. BMW, as you know, is doing really well, 25%-ish, 20 penetration anyway, but like Canberra as well. Actually, shout out to the ACT again, also hitting 25% new EV penetration across the board. National figures just a touch under 15. We're about to touch on that, but congratulations to Canberra at 25. BMWs at 25. We can see those suite of new Neue Klasse and new class coming. That one's a start. I mean, it does look impressive. If you like BMW, you're going to love these cars. I think they started off okay, but they're going to go gangbusters, I think. So, World Car of the Year, not just EVs, World Car of the Year, the BMW iX3. So, really impressive results. It's clean sweep for those 5 categories. I mean, what more do we need to say? But, well, except it's time for breaking EV news. And, of course, the big news of the week is the sales figures. It pretty well spread out in the last 24 hours now. It's just a touch under 15%, just pure EVs. Pretty exciting stuff, really. I mean, sure, some people were probably expecting a bit more. And maybe, thanks for joining us, Sensei. Unbelievable that perhaps we didn't have as high as 20 that some people expected. 15 is not a bad number. That's, remember, deliveries, right? You've got to be counting a delivery in Australia to count as a sale. So assuming they had a reasonable amount of stock, there wasn't a big idea being accused of having a better stock floating around. But by the looks of things, and anecdotally from what we've heard, 50% up in terms of inquiries and sales out the door. That's 5,000 cars more than the previous month, really. It's an easy figure with approximately 100,000 cars sold per month. That's 15,000, close to 15,000 pure EVs, with numbers from the Electric Vehicle Council and VFACTS feeding in together to get this sort of number. So around about just over 15,000 cars. And of course, BYD, that's the significant factor there. BYD total actually beat Tesla because they've got more in their suite of pure electric. Although, of course, looking at the numbers now, looking at the actual top 10, and we've got Model Y, of course, still at number one. Year-to-date figure there in teal there, number one still, but still did only just a fraction more than February. So there's only so many cars that they can bring out. And sure, they must have had a shipload. Literally, Jan was a pretty poor month. They must have had a shipload in February. Maybe half those got sold, literally. And then the other half, they've just gone because anecdotally, if you ask around, Tesla got virtually nothing. And of course, all the news is about wait times now blowing out to 2 and 3 months. But for many of us that might have ordered over the last couple of years, that's been fairly normal for some of the newer models. It's only as the model cycles progressed have they gone and a little bit tighter where you can actually just walk in and buy one. So there's a lot of news about wait times being 2 or 3 months, but that really sets us up for a fantastic next couple of months as well. Maybe we'll get close to that 20%. What's interesting, we'll get to it, is the overall picture of sales, but some great results there from the C-Line 7. That's pushing the Model Y. Zeekr 7X doing brilliantly. Again, almost, they're claiming 2,000 deliveries. But the official stats at the end of March, 1,725. Oh, that would be last year. So definitely, this is only January, February, March, including last year, of course, 2,000 or 3,000. They did 1,000 last year. Atto 2 out of the box straight away, just released in the last couple of months. EX5 doing really, really well. Still popular, the Geely EX5. Model 3 is still hanging in there. It's cops a bit, but still beats the Seal, which is not even in the top 10 there. And I guess, EV5, if you look down 11, 12, you get to the Kia EV3, again, at just around about 400, and then it tails off. So with an incredible range and an amazing number of cars available, you get a pretty long tail there. BYD, number one seller in EVs outright. And with the Atto 1, the Atto 3, Atto 2, C-Line 7, of course, and again, the amazing factor. They're actually at number 3 overall. I didn't bring that chart up, but it still puts the Tesla Model Y, if you look at the overall top sellers for March, still puts the Tesla Model Y in at number 3 outright. And this is sure well behind Ranger and Hilux. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised about still the forward orders on those, but perhaps they were forward orders. They were ordered, they were going to be delivered. Fleets can't change their minds. Can't imagine people running out and buying those. Again, it'd be really, really interesting to see what is going to take place. And I'll just try, in the next couple of months. It would be a 20% head. I'll put that up from Sensei. Yeah, it would have been 20% if M Guy and his crew had not been outside of a few BEV dealerships, stopping people from going to buy BEVs. They're doing everything they can. I think of Sky News are back, and the news cycle. We've got a good couple of weeks where there was a lot of support. I thought it might be a few months before they start turning on us again. And maybe we might get a couple of months grace of good news, but some of the stories already coming out, and I guess you could have pre-written the one about the Easter break and queues at charging stations. So yeah, I might do something on that in the next week or so just to see, dig deeper, and because I think they've swung back pretty hard. Perhaps it wouldn't have lasted long, some of the articles and some of the support that we got, but I've got some good data and some good news from the ABC, which they've put together. Interesting. But so let's get straight on to the used market, because it's great platform now set up from the new market. 15%, it's 15,000 cars, well on the way to 500 cars, pure EVs in Australia now. I'd say there must be, I think I was going to check the figure, there must be 5 or 6 million cars on the road in Australia. Someone can Google that for me while we're doing this. And I'd be guessing 5, 6, 7 million cars on the road at least, maybe closer to 10. And so, I mean, EVs are small fry, really, still at 500,000, not even 10%, not even close to 10% of the overall cars in Australia. Yeah, and they're starting to talk road user taxes as well. But, the overall percentage of EVs on the road is still pretty small. It's not taken away too much from income that they might have got from people buying petrol. I'd love to see the petrol sales figures over the last 12 months to see exactly if EVs, or 3 years even, see if EVs have had any effect, or they can attribute any effect. But anyway, I digress as we get to the used market, and we've just met some good folk from Motormetrics over in WA who are picking up some really great data on the used market from the dealers and some of the small dealers who are stocking used EVs. And this is a really interesting one. I've had a suspicion, and just anecdotally from looking at Tesla's website and a few other sites, including our own. And we'll get to AmazingEV as well, because a couple of new cars there, which I want to point out to you, but this is pretty indicative of what's happened. Tesla Model Ys, this is the make model of all cars, ICE and EV, increases, decreases for March 2026. So again, take it as read. But this market is moving so fast, it's moving around so quickly. I'm not relying, but pretty indicative of what is actually going on. If anything, some of these numbers could be higher by now. And they're tracking data from dealers on real live pricing as well. And Model Y up at least 10%, I'm sure. Model 3s, I'd say it's closer to 10. iX1's 3.5. GMW Aura's Cherry Tiggo hybrids fit 500 petrol. There's a swing back for you. Perhaps that's just perceived as being economical. That's not the 500e, that's the petrol. S-Class, that's a strange anomaly. The Kia EV3 up, holding its value quite nicely. And then, as you can see, some of the big diesels, the Rangers, the Utes, even the FEVs, down big time, up to 10%. So that's pretty much some data that we've tapped onto in Motormetrics world. And yeah, hopefully we'll do a bit more work in the future, because they've got some great stuff. And yeah, I'm seeing that myself. I'm seeing some price increases, which is the next wave of the used market. This one is really interesting. And I have just got this, picked up quite a bit of data from the, well, it's actually the ABC, so I don't feel too bad about it. We're paying our taxes. ABC working with Pickles in this instance, and we've had a chat to Pickles and love to track their data as well, as you might have seen. And of course, this first one is an interesting one because it looks at buying trends, and I just wish they would do their charts with some more contrasting greens. But we've got a chart here of age groups, age segments of used buyers, and this is from Pickles. So it's going through the auctions. Private buyers, not dealers. So it's not the age of the dealers. This is private buyers. And previously, the majority of their buyers was 41 to 60 age bracket. This is moved now. And you can see that big swing in the 31 to 40-year-old bracket, where that's up at least 10%. So interesting, just again, I don't know what it means. We're tracking used car behavior, buyer behavior and data all the time. This is really interesting. Nobody over 80 has bought this is a pretty small data set, but really nice and indicative numbers, and interesting to see if that switch, again, at the expense of the 41 to 50-year-olds. So nice that the younger segment has actually picked up there on the 30, and really that's been the biggest, strongest switch in the last month or so. That maybe they're the ones that were sitting on the fence. They're the ones that jumped in. Great to see. And thanks to being here, Sensei. Thanks, Mrs. Amazing, for moderating tonight. I like this sort of stuff because it just gives me a picture, and it gives us a great picture again from the. This is just indicative of what's happening in the auction house. I'm surprised this clearance rates again were so low at 40 leading up to February, March this year. But they're happy to share their data again from Pickles via the ABC. And the EV clearance rates, again, the last 2 weeks of March, saw EV clearance rates jump to 100%. So just really just reiterates that boom that we saw in the last couple of weeks of March. We felt it. We were inside it. We were watching it. And just here's the data coming through now. And the last one, this again from Google and the ABC. I don't mind the ABC helping us. Google, the information is publicly available. Again, they've sort of crowded themselves, but this is a 10-year chart. This is Google searches from the last 10 years. It's from 2016 to March 2026. The dotted line is petrol price searches on Google, and the green line is electric car searches, which is, again, it's a relative number. Don't worry too much what it's a percentage of. It's not necessarily a percentage of all searches. It's a relative number. But as you can see, the spike during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and again, EVs have been up, then they've come back a bit. But look at that spike there with the Iranian war. The Iranian war, if we can call it that, starting. They're happy to. If the ABC can, we will. And petrol prices up, searches up 100%, and EV and electric car prices up 97%. So again, we're unsure where the demand's come from. It's been driven hard, and it's being reflected in the searches online. Just absolutely incredible. So yeah, we can't wait to see what happens from here on. We can't wait to see what the next step is. We're following it really closely. At the moment, at AmazingEV, it's a fascinating story because, yeah, we haven't been as busy because we just can't get stock anymore. Cars have sold and cars have disappeared. Days to sell have dropped down. Inquiries have been up. Our search traffic's been up 100% as well. And the cars are just disappearing. Happy to share with you a couple of cars that have just come onto the market. And it's great to see that, yeah, again, Tesla Model Y, don't wait. Here's one in Queensland. Don't wait 2 months and order one if you're in Queensland. This one's available right now. Beautiful Tesla Model Y 2025 in red. Again, the prices have jumped. You can see that maybe the owner will get it, maybe not. We don't. All we can do is follow the prices. We can't dictate what they are. The red book's gone out the window. The price guides have gone out the window. Everything's gone out the window. But that one, great choice. If you're looking, you can buy, and there's a couple available right now. This guy's ordered a Model Y long range. So again, genuine seller, and a keen seller. But yeah, again, I think this expectation of what people are getting at the moment has changed altogether. And then again, if you want Canberra to Sydney non-stop, this is the way to do it. The original long range, I don't think the long range is available anymore. I think you're actually you don't have a choice of a long range in the current lineup of Model 3. So here's one out of the bag. Again, prices have jumped on Model 3s fairly reasonably as well. This one doesn't exist in all-wheel drive. Again, Canberra ACT owned 52,000 Ks, just getting warmed up. Again, Sydney, Canberra, and halfway back again on one tank, and for $50, that's the way to do it. So really, yeah, there's bits and pieces coming through, but if you know anybody that wants to sell, we're offering a free listing at normally $29.95. We're happy to do as much as we can to get the word out there. I think what's going to happen, and if I'm looking forward and just putting my thinking cap on, I think the prices have probably gone up a little bit high. They've probably moved too far too quickly, and I think some of the prices are a little bit optimistic. And I think those that have bought might have bought at the moment. There's some good deals on some new cars around. There's no doubt about that. And there's still some downward pressure on new cars, the new MG4 and the new JQ J5. Incredible. Geely as well, EX5 at mid-40s. Kia dropped their prices as well. So strange things happening. Demand's high, order books are out, but there's still some incredibly competitive pricing out there. So what a time to be alive in the world of EVs. So just fascinating, again, for me to be part of this. We built AmazingEV as a marketplace to help people. Again, so many dynamics, so many things happening. Just can't believe it sometimes. But if you know anyone, if you want to list, let us know. We're happy to promote it on our website. We'll promote it on LinkedIn. We'll promote it on Facebook. We'll get the word out there everywhere we possibly can and help you try and get a deal as well. Yeah, I think you need to do more than just take some photos in the garage. And you really have to try and push a little bit harder as well. Again, prices are higher, but yeah, we'll just see if they come back and how long expectations about higher prices hang in there, because there is a lack of stock. But I noticed on a few of the sites and check car sales and Facebook, some of the stock levels are building back up again. So it will be interesting to see exactly what happens in the next. Well, yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there for the ride. So let's go to a break now. After the break, I've got Dave Power with me. And he's going to join us and have a chat about his EV experience. He's had 2 EVs for a while now, and he's been traveling and he's been going on holiday. He's been working. It's a tool. It's a wrecked vehicle. He goes anywhere and everywhere with it. I'll let him tell you more about it. But we thought we could pass on some of the tips he's learned, some of the things that he knows. Any new buyers out there watching this, it will be fascinating, I think, because you can charge at home, you can charge on the road, you can use it as a business car. He travels miles with his production company. You can take it on holiday, you can take it down the beach, you can plug your kettle in it, and you can make someone a cup of coffee. So can't wait to hear from Dave. We'll take a look around Amazing EV and we'll have a chat to Dave after the break. Dave, where are you?
Hey, here I am. How are you, mate?
How are you, my friend?
I'm going well, thank
That's
you.
good.
Coming to you here from Byron Bay.
I was going to say, top secret location. Where do we find you tonight? Yeah.
This is the Tin Horse Ranch, Pierce's Creek. It's about 20 minutes from Byron. It's 20 minutes from everything around here, as we've discovered over the last few days. Mate, this is gold. This place is heaven. Google it now, Tin Horse Ranch.
Tin Horse, right? Okay, that sounds fantastic. And look, apparently you can take an EV everywhere, and you just decided at the spur of the moment to get up there from where you live down your way. So.
Yeah. So Friday, this is a long-term client of mine. I've known for over 10 years. He's in the electrical business as well, electrician in Sydney. Shout out to David Jones Electrical. He semi-retired up here. Yeah, big name in Sydney for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's built this beautiful space. I'm currently coming from, ironically, something called... Oh, no, it's not the studio. It's the cabin. Up there, there's one called the studio I should have set up there, but this has the garage, which is crazy because you can set a car up like I've done here and just bask in, the lounge room / garage area if you're a car lover like we all are, and just have some downtime and then come and chill out and nerd out like we are. So yeah, what an ideal place to be asked to come onto the show with you, mate.
Exactly. We didn't imagine this when I asked you a week ago, but see, again, with an EV, you can get in the car, you can just pack the family up and off you go. And again, this is what we're talking about, Dave's EV6, right? And again, we talked a few years ago after losing touch, and I said, I rang Dave up and said, I've got an EV. And he said, guess what? I've got one too. And I bought a Tesla Model Y, and you bought the Kia, right? Mm.
Yeah. Haven't looked back, mate. It's just been, I think last time we spoke, I was up at about 120, and I think now I'm at 145,000 K. And, this thing just doesn't give up. And I don't know if last time I had the certificate from Avaloo, but after watching your show and seeing the Avaloo thing, I got 98.5% score on the battery. And, who could ask for anything better than that, right? After that many kilometers. So,
again,
very lucky.
Shout out to Test EV and Nathan. Again, we mention it every week. We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored by Kia. We're not sponsored by Dave Power Creative. We're not sponsored by David Jones Electrical. But that is amazing. So say that again.
Yeah, well, basically, how we've come about to where we are. I should give some more background.
The numbers. Those numbers again. How many Ks?
It's 145,000 kilometers on this one. Now, the other one, the Nero, has about 110,000 kilometers. Yeah. And I have to do the battery check on the Nero. I've been holding off until about 120, knowing they've got 150K under warranty. Yeah. But yeah, I did this one at 125,000 and got a 98.5% score on the battery.
That is unbelievable. That is absolutely that's extraordinary.
And, when I'm not heading up the highway like we are right here, fully loaded, usually if I'm doing a bunch of 60 to 80 zones, I'm getting around 510. If I'm doing a lot of braking. And if I'm not, it's somewhere around 470 kilometers. And, like you said in the intro earlier, being in the production world where at the drop of a hat, you need to be in Byron Bay, like we found out last Friday, you can do it. And it's not the theory that people have about range anxiety. It just, that did cross my mind at the time that I moved across from diesel to this back in 22. Yeah. But to be honest, ever since I've been in here, I couldn't imagine anything else because I've actually got more control and more scheduling with this setup than what I ever did before. And, even though I've got the cabin here today, you mentioned V2L as well, being able to put the equipment on the road and know that the last shoot that I've just finished doesn't matter, my batteries in my camera are out because I can recharge on the road between every job. Could you ask for anything better as a business owner?
Exactly.
No way. It's amazing.
Dave's got a production company. He's got cameras. Everything's got a battery, hasn't it? And you're just charging batteries non-stop. And so you can do that if you're on location out and about from the car with this particular model. That's Vita production company. And
someone actually just moments before coming on here tonight, we were just down the road and a BYD Atto driver was admiring the road cases that I've got attached to this thing. And we talked about the V2L thing. And, I said to him, because he wasn't sure if you could use it whilst you're driving, because I think in the Atto, maybe they have to be stopped and stationary and then they can V2L. But, some people aren't aware of this. Yeah. You can actually run a 240 volt off the passenger seat, just below where the middle seat is in the back row, whilst you're driving. So we've had, just the other week, a Ninja slushy machine running in the car while we're doing the Wattigans. Now, I waited till we got off the dirt road because I didn't want the slushy all over the boot. You can do it though. The kids enjoyed slushies. We didn't have to go to 7-Eleven and smell any fuel while we're there. And off we go, just brilliant.
So holiday road anxiety, cross, no problems there. Yeah. Plenty of charging.
Non-existent.
V2L while you're driving in this particular model. Again, different models have got different features, but for this EV6 and maybe some other Kias, I don't know. I think it is a feature of most of them. But yeah, check that out. Again, 240 volt while you're moving inside the car. Where are you? Where are you charging mostly? When have you got a solar or you got a home battery or charge set up at home?
Yeah, so our typical routine, if we're not, 300 to 400 kilometers away from home or more, is keep it on the charger at home. If you've got a daytime, shift in our case in the production world, then charge it overnight. Get your 12 a.m. till 6 a.m. schedule, which you could get a smart charger for. We've still got a dumb charger, one of the original AC 11 kilowatt chargers on the wall. And honestly, we have 3-phase. We just leave it up there, and I just do the programming in the car, and literally just go schedule 12 till 6. And my wife does the same in her Nero, and we don't even have to think about it. You drive in, plug in, that you'll be, charging from the most optimal rate of 8 cents a kilowatt in this case, instead of plugging in at the peak and paying through the nose per kilowatt. So, and really in 6 hours, if you've been driving all day, which quite often I am, if I come in with say, 10 or 15% on that car, it's going to be fully charged by the morning. If you're drawing 11 kilowatts into something like this, 6 hours will get you a full battery.
Tip number 3: you've got a home energy plan. If you don't have a battery or a solar setup, you've got a home energy plan that means that you're only paying 8 cents a kilowatt hour overnight. Yeah, for overnight charging, right? So.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, lots of people have asked me what about home batteries, Dave? Now, here's the thing. I've thought about it. I don't disagree for anyone who wants to do that, but for us, we've already invested in the Nero and the EV6. So for us, we're waiting for V2H and V2G to do bidirectional charging to optimize, I suppose, the assets that we already have, rather than just going out, even with rebates, and getting something in a new ecosystem, I suppose, is the key.
And I've just got the shot up of the other car. So 2 cars, again, the Kia EV6 and this one as well. How long have you had both?
And you made a joke last time about both having the same rego. I originally registered the Nero with Power Creative plates, and then when we got the EV6, I switched to rego. So that's no longer 2 rego. Anyway, that joke's been done.
You jobbed yourself in that time. Again, what we're talking about is these 2 shots, and these those cars have the same registration plate.
I know. Honestly, New South Wales Police, I do not drive with both cars on the same registration. I promise you.
That has been resolved. These were not taken on the same day, these shots. Okay.
Yeah, just for illustration. That's it. But sorry, you had a question about the Nero and I got into silly land.
Yeah. How long have you had this one? How long have you had them both?
Yeah, 6 months apart. I was going to say that's almost like brother and sister, but not really, because 6 months isn't quite enough time for that. However, the Nero came first because we had accessibility at the time for the New South Wales government grant. We took the Nero first, even though the EV6 was actually higher up my list of preference. I just wanted both of us to be driving EVs. And a lot of people said to me at the time, you don't want to have a foot in each camp just in case. And to be honest, I'm so glad I didn't bother with that theory. There really wasn't any point to do that. And with that V2L thing we mentioned, the Nero doesn't do it. However, sometimes I will power the Nero from the EV6 if we're both out on the road and not in a tow truck sort of situation where she's pulled over, but more in a you know what, I've got a full battery, but you're going to Sydney tomorrow and it's peak and we're not doing the midnight thing. Let's just plug you in. So I will do that, from time to time, just because it's the kind of guy I am, looking after my wife.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that, and because Kia have obviously gone off in a different direction, and we'll talk a bit about that a bit later on. With the EV9, it's a great car. You've got the EV6 in us, and this was a previous style as well. Now we've got the 3 and the 5. Again, they've got the whole suite covered. There's the 2 overseas. Again, we got something else that you're looking a bit later on. But just on the Kia brand, Have you been happy broadly with Kia as a brand?
Amazingly happy.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. In fact, I've gone back for things as little as, oh, this switch isn't reacting quick enough in the seat. Instantly replaced, not even questioned. Not like, oh, sorry, that's a wear and tear, so you will have to just wear the cost of that. Warranty cover has been second to none.
Right. Yeah.
I've had some pretty angry moments over the years with previous brands, which I won't mention, but Kia are, they own the product and they want to make sure it's high quality. So yeah, I can highly recommend Kia for sure.
Yeah, because we've talked a bit about your tires on the EV6, and again that's pretty standard again. But again, we won't go into detail there. But again, it took a bit of selection to get the right choice there, if I recall. But any other problems and issues that you've had? Things are going to happen as long as the OEM or the manufacturer's got your back. That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. They do quite often laugh at the fact that I've got this much equipment attached to it. There's times where I'll drive into the dealership and they're just like, hang on a minute, what have you got on this thing today? But it's a lot of fun. I think for me, being able to do things like put the roof pod on top here and the rear luggage compartment out the back.
Yeah.
And right now we're in predominantly family mode where we've got a tent and a camping set up in the back. Or as I said to my wife, we've got business up top, party out the back, because I've got the camera gear and tripod and lighting up here.
Yeah, unless you took the
kids.
stuff,
the kids have a few things. They've got pillows up the top. I let them sleep well at night.
Did you actually bring them, or did you forget to take your own children on holiday?
I've even gone, you know what? I feel like Mary Poppins because I've even brought the Dyson along, and that's not a plug for you, Dyson.
I've got a shot up at the moment of you contemplatively sitting at the back with you've got the big pod for most of your gear out the back, and again that it's handled the extra weight without a problem. Do you feel like that's done anything major for economy wise? You feel what do you range? What do you get on range? This one.
The biggest thing on that would be tire wear, making sure you rotate regularly. So for me, I rotate every 5,000 kilometers because that back end is wearing it. And because the EV6 is, even though it's all-wheel drive, the one that I've got, the fact that the front is slightly lifted, if you like, while the back is copping it, it's, you've got to rotate regularly, which I learned as we had in that tyre discussion, and got through that very well. But that photo right there is just around the corner from where we are. That's here at Pierce's Creek.
Beautiful shot. I know. I'm not worried about the car. I'm worried about the framing of the shot. It's a beautiful shot. So I know that's not your. I think I made the mistake last time. That's a little caravan you hired. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, got a rental. In fact, the owner of this property that we're at had his 60th birthday. We decided rather than camping, we'd get our little Camplify on and tow this behind us. And I think it was like 1,200 kilo unit. So the car's capable of towing 1,600, depending on how much gear you put in the car and that. But, this thing was beautiful. We had my wife and I, in complete luxury on a farm, staying in this thing, and you wouldn't even know it's behind the car when you're towing it. It's just brilliant.
I think we've got from tip number 4 and tip number 5 you can tow now, and I'm glad you didn't say he had his 60th birthday party inside that caravan. That's where I thought you were going with.
I mean, they could have.
I thought it could have been. I thought that's where you're going with that one, but no, I'm glad.
I mean, yeah, it could have been some sort of sideshow, I don't know, but or the after party. But in this case, it wasn't. Yeah.
Without disclosing your exact location, you are driving to Sydney from Central Coast all the time, right? So how do you find charging on the road? And has that changed much over the years you've had this car?
Yeah. So for a while there, we had an office in Blacktown, and we would travel regularly between Lake Macquarie. And for those who aren't sure if I mean Port Macquarie, I don't. I mean Lake Macquarie. So Lake Macquarie is 90 minutes north of Sydney. Port Macquarie is 4 hours.
Yeah.
So 150K, let's say.
Yeah.
Most days, if I'm going down to Sydney and back, I'll be 100K spare-ish. or 25% of battery when I get home.
So full tank, no problem. Just straight down, straight back. Bit of a roundabout if while you're there, and no problem, right?
That's it. And if I'm looping around between eastern suburbs, northern beaches, etc., then I'll just do the top ups where I need to.
Yeah.
If I'm on timelines where I'm maybe working on editing or I've taken shots and I need to process them, I'll be just happily slow charging rather than paying a higher rate for a fast charge, because it's all about scheduling, right? And that's back to the point I was making about people are confused about anxiety. And I think the big trade-off there is work out your daily schedule and your weekly schedule, book in your meetings, and unless you're a last-minute Larry, you know where you're going and you know exactly how far it'll be, and you have PlugShare and you have a better route planner. You can do this. Open the app, go. You know what I mean? It's really that easy. And I know some people don't love the tech in terms of app usage as much, and I think that is potentially one of the barriers for those users that aren't maybe as nerdy as I am. But I do think it's intuitive enough that if you can use Facebook, if you can use LinkedIn, if you can use any app that you currently use, there's no reason you can't adapt.
Can you use a Tesla charger with Kia?
Good question. In fact, we did on the way up here, and certain charges are open at the moment for all. And we stopped at a little place called New Italy, and my host here thought I got lost in Europe somewhere, and I said, no, it's just 30 minutes that way. It's the New Italy, not the old one.
Only EV owners know where New Italy is, right? Because they stop and charge there.
Yeah. A good coffee too. Shout out to New Italy. I loved it. Thank you. But those charges were 90. I think I got 94 kilowatts speed wise. We were in and out of there within 20 minutes. By the time we finished my coffee, and I'm only a piccolo drinker, not a big coffee, I had to go. It was fast, very fast. And I was surprised actually at how good that rate was. And I'm not even a Tesla member. So I'm not even getting a reduced membership rate. I got a really good price on that. I think it was like 60 cents a kilowatt, compared to say 85 sometimes in some places. So
it's variable. Yeah. I mean, for anyone watching, it is variable depending on whether you own a Tesla or depending on whether you have the app or whatever. There's variable pricing, and there's different pricing during the daytime as well. So it's a whole lot of factors. There's no broad sweeping statement about that extra cost or it being more expensive overall. At all. And I own a Tesla, and if you charge before 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it can be as low as 35, 40 cents a kilowatt hour. If you charge during the day, and it's up to 65, 66, 70. Again, it's all a bit of research, bit of timing, bit of scheduling. I've fitted in. I've managed to fit it in quite easily as well. And we don't have a charger. We don't even have a charger at home. So I've made it work as if I've gone to the petrol station I've gone to the electric charging station once or twice a week. And for anyone out there who thinks they're not in a position to buy because they live in an apartment or they don't have off-street parking, sure, there's plenty of solutions to help with that, but you can live without it. And if you're doing average Ks, I think I read somewhere the average Ks per year across Australia, a bit more in the Northern Territory and WA, was like 17,000 Ks a year, right? You can do that by charging once a week and getting 300, 400, 500 Ks. And speed-wise, again, that's interesting to hear how fast that was for you. Again, I hear a lot about faster charging and 150 kilowatt-hour charging, and that car won't. But as long as it's doing about 100 kilowatt-an-hour charging and it can get to there on average, slows down as you get more filler, it's okay. 20 minutes, gone, and then off you go again. So,
to be honest, I feel like you're better off with a consistent charge than one that gives you the hope of, say, 350 or 250 kilowatts, only to find that actually, you've just got, some sort of delay or some sort of outage in the area, or maybe there's too many people on it. So, my advice on that would actually don't just accept it when you see that on the app. Read what people are saying about it on PlugShare. And if it's not working for you, and sometimes you have to be patient. If it's only just started, it's winding up. But if you're sitting there for 5-10 minutes and you're really not getting what it quotes it can, I would move on. Like, do you really need it there and then?
I'm the same. If it's not doing what a minimum speed, I think there's a problem, and I just give up and I go. I don't sit and complain. I don't get online. I don't whinge about it. I just something. I go and find solve the problem somewhere else.
Yeah, and there are so many around, and honestly, yes, it's 22 back when I had the luxury of NRMA offering a lot of free fast charging. That was fun. I was one of those lucky ones to get free charges all the way to Melbourne or all the way to Queensland, and just go, what?
What's the farthest road trip? What's the furthest road trip you've done?
Yeah, Noosa north and Phillip Island south.
Okay,
we are planning a Perth trip at some point, and possibly a Tassie trip. But with me and my work and filming around the place, I'd love to do that with the equipment and document that. So that's on the cards as well.
I know it's still an adventure, and a great adventure as well. Not many people I know are just getting in the car and driving to Perth with petrol or anything else. Not many people in Australia have done that trip full stop, right? Even driving to Adelaide, right? It's a fair trip. I think I'll have a chat to Nathan from Avalou from Test EV, and you may well be a nominee for Battery of the Year, right? I mean, for the Ks you've done, for the car that you've got, and for the percentage that's being retained, you might well be a nominee for Battery of the Year for 2026. So I'll see if Nathan can we put some awards together, and we'll enter. I'll enter you on your. I mean, that's not a real award system. I've just created that right now. But I think he should do it. All right. I think he should be battery of the year. All right. Oldest, highest Ks, and highest percentage. Right. So.
I reckon everyone should vote now by adding comments about that.
Okay, all right.
And just put battery symbols if you want to, with a +1, and then tag Nathan, and we'll be sorted.
Hi, Hal. I've got a couple of guests online, regulars. I'm just saying hello to. So, and Dave, hey, you're a Kia man, and I just here's another shot of you with a bike on the back. You've been everywhere. Here it is on the beach, just about to drive. Looks like you've just driven out of the lake there. It's incredible. It is an amazing. I love this car. I personally like the style language, if that's the fancy words we use these days to describe the EV6. It's a funky looking car. It's a funky looking sedan. I like it because it looks like it's going fast when it's standing still. And the other Kias don't do that for me, right? They look a bit more functional. I've always liked the EV6 because of that. And you've taken it everywhere and driven it everywhere, but you've got something else in mind as well. We were talking earlier about what's next from Kia, and some information and some pricing data out today, right? Which has got you a bit excited. So.
Very excited. I have had my eye on a van for at least the last 6 months, and that PV5 that's been announced today, I've been itching. I've been calling everyone I know who's connected to Kia ahead of today, trying to find out when is this happening. But with the amount of gear that I cart around, it's a no-brainer to have an electric van. And up until now, there hasn't been much available on the market that has the range that I currently have. So I've, even though I love the roof pod and I love the rear luggage, and it works, having a van would obviously make sense in my situation. And that's next on the list. Fingers crossed it all comes together. And I think for us personally, we probably wouldn't opt for something like a 7-seater. It would actually be probably the cargo or a crew version that has, say, a cargo barrier for equipment, and then you've got seats for the kids at the back, and drivers up the front. But I think, that for me, again, having V2L and the functionality on the road that I've currently got would just be a game changer. And you know what? My rear pod and my top pod could end up on this anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sure.
Just for nostalgia, if nothing else.
I haven't checked the stats on this, but I'm assuming it's got close to 80 kilowatt hour battery or something, and 450 or 500 range or something crazy, has it?
It's 77.1 on the battery.
Okay.
I believe on the cargo version.
Yeah.
They may have other versions and variants
Step up.
coming. And it's 415 kilometer range, I believe.
That's okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
It's probably more of a round town style, but yeah, I mean, close to 56 grand before on roads, right? That is very, very attractively priced. That's, I mean, a Volkswagen Caddy or something is over 50 grand now, right? Now we're talking, okay, a Transport is 70 grand. I mean, I know because I used to own them and they were already creeping up and have got crazy. So this is unbelievable, really.
Yeah, it's amazing value. And if you think about what I spent on the Nero, it's around that money. It's actually probably a little bit more on the Nero. And obviously that's 4 years ago. But, you know, things have evolved since then. But to think you're getting that much bang for buck for that, I think is just a no-brainer for us. And, you know, many people have said, well, would you sell one of the cars? And to be honest, I don't know if I would initially, because these are still great, versatile family vehicles that we've got. And we are an evolving business and we often do have multiple crews around the place. So I couldn't imagine me just trading in. It'd probably be more an additional fleet. So we're looking at a fleet of 3. And right now, we're in the process of going through applications with the current New South Wales government grants. And if you have got 3 vehicles registered in your business, which we do have a 3rd vehicle at the moment that's not electric, you know, that's been on our fleet for a while now. That means that we qualify, and you could as well, to go on to this grant and get anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 depending on the variant of vehicle. And in this case, for a van, that's $8,000 for this. So
it's huge,
55 down $8,000. You know, we're talking $47,000. That's not bad.
We're talking about the New South Wales government's fleet incentives for EVs. So if you own multiple, at least 3, isn't it? Which is directed towards small business, exactly like Dave's circumstances, or it could be your circumstances. Those grants are still available. They still want to give the money away for how much longer, I don't know. But there's still money there for fleet buyers and for an EV fleet to convert to an EV fleet. That's what we're talking about. Still really attractive if you check that out online for New South Wales as a state incentive in the state of New South Wales, Australia, for those listing. That's still brilliant because there's nothing else for a single buyer left at a state level. But that is brilliant. You know, that. And what colour, Dave? Does that pale blue rock your boat or not?
Well, I have to say, as much as I love the blue, I have found fingerprints with the kids quite difficult on this current one. I'm thinking we'll probably stick with white more than likely. And, you know, being a work van and all that sort of stuff, I feel that we don't need to stand out so much. It can just blend in. And I'm quite happy with white, you know. I think that's the way we'll probably end up going, or a grey. But, you know, I think from a cleaning point of view, also just keeping a dirty car clean, white's always easier.
I think, they might. I mean, white will be the cheapest, I'm sure. But the black trim, there's going to be a lot of black trim on it as well. And the van market's heating up as well. And, I am a bit of a sucker for a van. I had 3 caddies over the last 10 years in my audio-visual business. And so I loved the Caddy, and it got progressively more and more expensive, and I flicked them on at about 65,000 Ks every time. And this would be me now. The Transporter was out of reach. This would be me as well if I was in the biz, because I like this one. There's a couple of others out there. The Buzz Murray mentioned as well. Still, that'd be funky. I'd love an amazing EV Buzz wrapped for shows, and an umbrella and a couple of chairs and sign written and rock up. But it's still at 80 odd grand.
I think 2 things there: the price point, as you point out, but also, look, I love that Volkswagen have announced they're happy to accept V2G and V2H. Good on you. That's awesome. Kia, catch up. You've got to get on it. But Kia will be able to do it eventually. It's just a tick of the box that they've got to work out. Where Volkswagen, I feel, have missed the boat is that they haven't already enabled V2L. If you're going to accept V2H and V2G, why wouldn't you have V2L? Because it's a no-brainer for trades on the road to do what I'm doing and charge on the road with your accessories.
I
Like,
agree. And
you can't plug in a drill with your USB cord. You've got to actually have 240. You know what I mean? Like, come on, Volkswagen, what were you thinking?
It was, as a commercial vehicle, forget about the attractive of how funky it was as a passenger vehicle. Yeah, as a commercial unit, like the F-150 before its sad demise, it just should have it should have had plugs everywhere to charge things and just keep things running, whether it was a concrete mixer or a battery charger. I agree. Just it was standard for anyone if you asked.
And the name lends itself to buzz, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like, can you be any more electric than that? You know, like they did so well on every other element. It's a shame that they missed that. And I feel that they'll rectify it on a second gen. I'd say, you know, not far away, but that's what they need to do to keep up, I think, with the likes of Kia and those out there doing it well.
I'm excited by the pricing. It's compared to a transporter, which is a probably slightly bigger unit, but only just. There'll be an incredible amount of space inside this thing because of no drivetrain and no motor. So there'll be a ton of room. There's a couple of others, of course, the Farazon, big supporters of vans, and there's choice out there now, and the Utes are coming as well. Then the Utes will be coming, and there will be a lot of choice, and I'm sure they'll be a lot more attractive because there was a cabin chassis version of this even that I saw when it came out. Look, we've spent a bit of time on this, but we're both. I'm excited by this one as well because of the price. Because the Kias have been a bit more premium in pricing, and fair enough. They've dropped a bit. I mentioned to be a bit more attractive now with some of but this is out of the box, brilliant, right?
And sort of similar to this conversation is the BYD Shark. We all know how successful that's been, and I think that's because they've also incorporated V2L. And even though it is only 80-kilometer range, it's enough for someone to tow the caravan to site and power everything off it. You know, like no brainer. It really makes sense.
Exactly. I haven't seen one on a work site in Sydney yet, but I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I actually see one on a work site, not driven by a project manager, but. Anyway, I digress. If there's any project managers watching tonight, I'm sorry, but hey, thanks, Dave. any other tips? Any other tips for anyone who might have just bought an EV or who might? I still see a lot of questions on Facebook. What that?
Yeah. I do have the question of towing that comes up a lot to do with like the towable weight. Yeah. You put it in chat GPT and just get the answer that way, but I'll tell you from experience, don't go over 100. I haven't done it, but I'm just saying don't go over 100 on your tow ball weight. And don't go over 1,600. In fact, I just play it safe like I did with the other van at 1,200 or no more than, say, 1,400 because you do want that couple of hundred spare for things like luggage in your car and passengers, right? So even though the car's capacity may say 1,600, just be on the side of caution, or on the side of caution even, and play it safe. But definitely, with the EV6 being a little bit lower to the ground, towing does mean that you have to get down pretty low. And sometimes I've put my rear wheels up on a chock to actually get the car higher up. So, there's ways around it. But I do think, little things like that are good for people considering to tow in this sort of car. I'd highly recommend it though, and it's highly capable.
That's right. You're proof in the pudding. Yeah, I think towing will be phase 2 of EVs. Like, we've had a lot of urban cars and a lot of smaller SUVs, and there won't be there's some serious towing torque and towing power and range in the next phase, I reckon, as part of some longer term solutions. I think that's critical as part of Utes and part of bigger towing solutions, and they'll get there as well. But at the moment, keep it light, keep within the limits, and you can still do what you're doing. And hey, thanks for joining us from Byron, just outside Byron. What's the weather like?
Pleasure. Mate, I am going to have to rip the shirt off soon, not on camera. But it is absolutely roasting up here. It was 32 degrees today, and mate, I've just, I'll be in the pool after this. I think it's just been absolutely magical.
I broke my number 1 rule. I never talk about the weather on the show. So on that note, thanks, Dave. Good to see you, and I really appreciate your help. Thanks a lot.
See you next time. See ya.
Gave power direct from holiday in Byron Bay. We didn't know that when we planned it a couple of weeks ago, but just proof in the pudding that you can drive anywhere. Take your family, pack it up, and off you go. And he's taken that car everywhere, done a lot of Ks and been all over the place. Great to see you guys tonight. Thanks for joining me. Stan, Hal, we'll be back next Wednesday night. And in the meantime, we'll be back Sunday night for EV Cruising. I'm Rosco, and we'll take you out with a small selection of what's available. I'm looking for listings, guys. If you know anyone selling, get them to call me. Let me know, because we need some more listings. We'll get some more viewers. Things will pick up. But just having a great time and a lot of fun at the moment as we just go. I don't like to use the word journey, but what a hell of a ride we've been on so far. And it's only March. It's only April. 3 months. And wow, where to next? I don't know, guys. But look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. I'm Rosco, and we'll see you next time.